This video is to explain about Year 10 indicator grades, how we've worked them out and what you can do with them. These indicators are based on the Key Stage 2 SATs scores. So here we see a range of students with different scores for their English and their maths. And obviously we've got that kind of information for almost everybody. So let's imagine this looks like a year group. And this is what happens. And the way that these indicators work is to find students with the same grades as you, the same scores in Key Stage 2 as you from the past, and to see what GCSE grades they achieved. And then basically to match the two of you up and use those historic results as an example of the kind of things that you should be able to get given where you've started from. We go one step slightly better than that. You can see on the left here all the schools in the country. Well, we don't actually, this is not based on all the schools. This is only based on schools a bit like us. So you can see on the right-hand side here, these are the schools in the top 5%. And that's where Beacon has historically been. So that seems a sensible bunch of grades to look at. So we're looking at students like you. These are students who have the same Key Stage 2 scores as you in a school like ours and say, well, based on those two things, what should that suggest? What does that indicate that you might be able to achieve? And so the indication itself comes out with a single grade. But we've learned to look at that carefully and understand a bit better what that means. And in particular, we might think that it means this, that all of the students have exactly the same grade at the end. They started where you were, then they all finished with exactly the same grade. But actually, the more that we look at this, the more we realize it looks much more like this. And actually, students who started in the same place as you achieve quite a large range of grades. And although more of them got a 5 than anything else, there were quite a lot of 6s, there was even a 9, there were a couple of 2s. So what we've tried to do is to say, actually, it would be a bit weird or maybe untrue to say you've all got a 5. So we present it to you in two ways. So if we bunch them up and we make a graph a bit like that, and then we can give you that graph. So you'll find this on the PDF that we've given you. We can give you that graph and we particularly highlight the 3 most likely grades. And you can see on the right-hand side there that actually what we're going to say to you is this student here is likely to get a 5, 6 or a 7. So we're going to talk about this indicator grade as being a 5, 6, 7. But we do have to say that this graph is there. These kind of things do happen underneath. So what does that mean? Well, let's put it a bit like this. This person has a 5, 6, 7 as their indicator. However, it could go to the left of that. So maybe that's just the 5 and not the 6. Maybe it's the grade 4. Maybe it's even worse than that. What does that look like? Well, maybe they're kind of doing okay. Nothing particularly dreadful is going. It's kind of all right. But there are the occasional gap in homework. There are kind of opportunities missed, occasions where they could have done a bit more and they didn't. And in all, I guess in all, it's not disastrous. We might just say it's a bit disappointing. All of those kind of factors together add up to this kind of coasting a bit more and ending up kind of lower than we'd like it to be, and lower than you'd like it to be. What does it look like to be on the right-hand side of this? What does it look like for someone with a 5, 6, 7? How do they get a 7? Or even how do they think about getting an 8 or even a 9? How does that kind of work? And I guess we could summarize it by saying excelling. So obviously there's someone that's going to work hard. They're going to try pretty hard all the time not to have gaps in their homework, to have excellent homework. They're not going to miss opportunities. They're going to take them. If the teacher says, here's something you can do better, they're going to grab on that as a thing that they can do. Maybe slightly surprisingly, they're also going to be someone that asks for help. We're sure all students get stuck with something at some point, but we know that not all students ask for help. So this is going to be somebody that asks for help and kind of deals with it, copes with the feedback, does something useful with it. So that's how our indicators work. That's what you'll just see on the report, this 5, 6, 7. We hope that helps set the kind of their current grade in the context of what we think is achievable. We hope it gives students something to aspire to. We hope it prompts students towards talking to their teacher a bit more, asking questions a bit more about how those can kind of works. Thank you.